I want to talk to you about the Iraq War today. I spoke about the Iraq War yesterday and focused on strategy, our national security strategy. 5 years ago, the Iraq War began, and on this 5th anniversary, we honor the brave men and women who are serving this nation in Iraq, Afghanistan, and around the world. And we pay tribute to their sacrifices, to the sacrifices of their families back home as well. And a grateful nation mourns the loss of our fallen heroes. Now, I understand that the first serviceman killed in Iraq was a native West Virginian, Marine First Lieutenant Shane Childers, who died 5 years ago tomorrow. And so on this anniversary, my thoughts and prayers go out to Lieutenant Childers' family and to all who've lost loved ones in Iraq and Afghanistan. The costs of war are greatest for the troops and those who love them. But we know that the war has other costs as well. Yesterday, I addressed some of these other costs in a speech on the strategic consequences of the Iraq War. I spoke about how this war has diverted us from fighting al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and from addressing the other challenges of the 21st century, violent extremism and nuclear weapons, climate change and poverty, genocide and disease. Today I want to talk about another cost of this war, the toll it has taken on our economy. Because at a time when we're on the brink of recession, when neighborhoods have for sale signs outside every home, and working families are struggling to keep up with rising costs, ordinary Americans are paying a price for this war as well. It's not the same price, obviously, as the price borne by our troops and their families, but it is a price. When you're spending over $50 to fill up your car because the price of oil is 4 times what it was before Iraq, you're paying a price for this war. When Iraq is costing each household about $100 a month, you're paying a price for this war. When a National Guard unit is over in Iraq and can't help during a hurricane in Louisiana or floods here in West Virginia, our communities are paying a price for this war. And the price our families and communities are paying reflects the price America is paying. The most conservative estimates say that Iraq has now cost well over $500 billion, more than any other war in our history besides World War II. Some say the true cost is even higher, and that by the time it's over, this could be a $3 trillion war. What no one disputes is that the cost of this war is far higher than what we were told it would be. We were told this war would cost $50 to $60 billion, and that reconstruction would pay for itself out of Iraqi profits. We were told higher estimates were nothing but baloney. Like so much else about this war, we were not told the truth. What no one disputes is that the cost of this war has been compounded by its careless and incompetent execution. From the billions that have vanished in Iraq to the billions more in no-bid contracts for contractors like Halliburton. What no one disputes is that 5 years into this war, soldiers up at Fort Drum are having to wait more than a month to get their first mental health screening, even though we know that incidents of PTSD skyrocket between the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th tours of duty. We have a sacred trust to our troops and our veterans, and we have to live up to it, and we have not yet done so. What no one disputes is that President Bush has done what no other president has ever done in this nation's history and given tax cuts to the rich in a time of war. John McCain once opposed these tax cuts. He rightly called them unfair and fiscally irresponsible. But now he has done an about-face and wants to make them permanent, just like he wants a permanent occupation in Iraq. No matter what the costs, no matter what the consequences, John McCain seems determined to carry out a third Bush term. That is an outcome America can't afford. That is an outcome America cannot afford. Because of the Bush-McCain policies, our debt has ballooned. This is creating problems in our fragile economy. It's the kind of debt that places an unfair burden on our children and our grandchildren who will have to repay it. Our national debt has gone up $4 trillion or so. It means we're having to pay for this war with loans from China. Having China as our banker isn't good for our economy, it isn't good for our global leadership, and it isn't good for our national security. It's hard to get tougher about trade deals with China when they're your banker. It's hard to crack down on them on safety standards for toys that are being shipped into our country when they're your banker. History teaches us that for a nation to remain a preeminent military power, it must remain a preeminent economic power. That is why it is so important to manage the costs of war wisely. Now, this is a lesson that the first President Bush understood. The conduct of the Gulf War cost America less than $20 billion, what we pay in 2 months in Iraq today. And that's because that war was prosecuted on solid grounds and in a responsible way, and with the support of allies who paid most of the costs. None of this has been the case in the way George W. Bush and John McCain have waged the current Iraq war.